The Philadelphia 76ers select Allen Iverson from Georgetown University.
Allen Iverson, the answer, is one of the most iconic NBA players of all time, marked with a troubled past. The king of crossovers and an NBA Hall of Famer almost spent half of his life in prison. "I didn't want to be Michael or Magic," says LeBron James. "I wanted to be Allen Iverson." Stay tuned while we tell the story of the answer. Iverson was born in Hampton, Virginia. He was raised by a single mom, Ann Iverson. She was 15 when Allen was born. Her new boyfriend, Michael Freeman, became a father figure to Iverson. In 1991, Freeman was arrested for dealing drugs, leaving Iverson and his sisters to live in a poverty-stricken neighborhood. When they couldn't afford to pay the bills, they would live without water, lights, and heat. While growing up, Iverson dreamed of making things better for his family, but was often pulled back into the ghetto. One thing his father taught him was basketball. It was a gateway from all the poverty and the hardship of the world. In his youth, 8 of his friends were murdered, including his best friend. But he wasn't only good at basketball. His first love was not for school, in which he had frequent confrontations with the teachers, but for football. He was a born athlete, and he played as a quarterback for Bethel High School. In 1992, he led his team to the state class AAA football title. After trying basketball, he switched from football and has never looked back. While playing basketball, he came up with the plan. The plan was to make it through high school, get a college scholarship, work hard, and earn his place in the NBA. He would do all of that for his family. However, one incident nearly cost him everything. Iverson was with a group of friends at the bowling alley, just hanging out. There was also a large group of white guys who were bowling at the time. There are mixed statements about who started the fight. One account said Iverson's friends started making fun of the white guys. Other accounts reported that the white guys started calling Iverson and his friends niggers and threw the first punch. Next thing you know, an all-out brawl happened. White guys were fighting with the black guys, throwing chairs at each other. After the fight ended, 4 people were arrested. They were all black. One of them was the future NBA Hall of Famer. Iverson was arrested because he supposedly hit a white woman with a chair, knocking her unconscious. Iverson himself said that after the brawl started, someone grabbed him and took him outside to get him away from the violence. He repeatedly stated that he was standing outside. At the trial, Iverson was sentenced to 15 years in prison, 10 months with good behavior, on 3 felony counts. Later, 2 of those charges were dropped. A crime of this caliber usually gets the perpetrator community service or something, but not jail. The racial tensions began to form. After serving 4 months in jail, the governor granted Iverson clemency because of insufficient evidence. After his release, Georgetown immediately offered Iverson a scholarship. In his freshman year, Iverson was brilliant. He was the best player and the best defender, averaging 23 points per game. He won the Big East Rookie of the Year award and started showcasing his famous crossovers, step-back jumpers, and up-and-under layups. As a sophomore, he led his team to the Elite 8 of the NCAA tournament and was named first-team All-American. After the sophomore season, Iverson declared for the NBA draft, for which he was considered a top prospect. NBA. In 1996, Iverson was picked by the Philadelphia 76ers as the #1 pick overall. In his rookie season, he won Rookie of the Year and became a spectacle to watch. He was barely 6 feet tall, but he would blow past defenders with blinding speed and would fearlessly attack much bigger defenders. In his first season, he averaged 23.5 points and 2 steals per game. He even shook off Michael Jordan in one of the most memorable crossovers of all time. That's where the critics came in. Iverson played at the position of a point guard, which meant he should pass the ball more often. Instead, Iverson would miss a lot of shots and get a lot of turnovers, but he would also score a lot. He had 4 seasons with an average of 30-plus points per game. He won 2 scoring titles as the NBA's leading scorer. He would often play injured and would always be one of the toughest guys on the court. In the season of 2000 to 2001, Allen Iverson won the MVP award. That season, he almost single-handedly led the 76ers to the NBA Finals, but they didn't manage to win against Kobe, Shaq, and the Lakers. In the season of 01 to 02, Iverson led his team to the playoffs by averaging 31.4 points per game. In the first round of the playoffs, they played against the Boston Celtics. After one loss, Coach Brown criticized AI for not showing up to practice. This was one of the most famous AI speeches. "We're sitting here. I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice." He repeated the word practice 24 times in his interview. In the season of 02 to 03, the 76ers lost to Kembe Mutombo in a trade, but Iverson carried the team to the playoffs on his shoulders, averaging 27.6 points per game. After beating Baron Davis and the New Orleans Hornets in the first round of the playoffs, AI said, "Davis was the most difficult opposing guard I had to defend in my career." After Coach Brown left the 76ers, Iverson struggled. However, in 2005, under the new coach Jim O'Brien, and with the addition of their first-round draft pick Andre Iguodala, AI was back on track. That year, in a game against Orlando, he scored 60 points. He won his 4th scoring title, averaging 31 points and 8 assists. After 10 years with the Sixers, Iverson moved to Denver. He was the 2nd leading scorer in the league, and he was now playing with the leading scorer, Carmelo Anthony. However, the duo wasn't successful in the playoffs. After Denver, Iverson moved to Detroit and then to Memphis, after finally returning to Philadelphia. On December 7, 2009, Iverson made his return to Philadelphia, eliciting a thunderous ovation from the crowd. A week later, he dropped 20 in a win against the Golden State Warriors. He shot 70% from the field. 1 month later, he and the 76ers went to Denver to play the Nuggets, and Iverson scored 17 points and had 7 assists in their victory. For the 11th straight season, AI was voted an All-Star. In one of his last games, he scored 23 points against Kobe and the Lakers, who were defending champions at the time. On February 22, 2010, the answer left the 76ers because he needed to attend his 4-year-old daughter Messiah and her health issues, which were later diagnosed as Kawasaki disease. On October 30th, 2013, Allen Iverson announced his retirement from basketball. He always dreaded it would be a tough day, but instead, he said that it was a happy day. He was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2016. Iverson has over 30 tattoos. Each one represents something. One represents the name of his group of friends he has known since childhood. The other represents his childhood friend who was fatally shot in Hampton. Another one represents his sons and his daughter. And of course, he has the tattoo that says, "The Answer," referencing to his legendary nickname. Iverson is credited for bringing the hip-hop culture to the NBA, and since then, it has become a style that is associated with basketball. His cornrows inspired millions of kids to cornrow braid their hair. I know I did it when I was 15. It cannot be overstated how much of an impact Allen Iverson had on the game of basketball. He inspired generations of kids who weren't that tall or that strong to become defiant and continue pursuing their dreams. Also, a lot of rappers got into basketball because of Iverson. He would always walk in his gangster clothes, changing the NBA fashion forever. Jewelry, hats, headphones, and loose clothing became his pregame style. He even got David Stern to change the rules because Iverson was so globally popular that the majority of players started following his style. Even though life tried to impose some limitations on him, Iverson's impact can still be seen today, and his legacy continues to live on. When you see a kid with cornrows, or you see a small guy fearlessly rushing the big guys, then you'll have your answer.